Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm going to be bringing you my 2024 TBR. I've got 24 books here and my goal is to have them all from my physical TBR. So as you can see, I've got shelves behind me, I've got a stack of books here, I've got another shelf here that is full, and then I also have a shelf that's stacked to the brim over there. So I've got lots and lots of books that I need to be getting to. So my last count when I was inputting everything into my Notion was about over 600 books and I read only about 130 of those. So my big goal for next year is to start reading my physical books. So all the books I have on my 2024 TBR are books that I own and I really want to get to. So let's get into this video. So the first two that I'm going to be talking about is part of the same series, and this is to finish off or catch up with this series. So the first one is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. This is the novella that breaches the time in between ACOWAR and A Court of Silver Flames. So we're following Feyre and kind of just a little glimpse of them celebrating Christmas or the winter solstice or something like that. So it's just a short little novella kind of guides us into the next one, which is A Court of Silver Flames. This is Nesta's story and I've put this one off for so long and I don't know why. I'm sad that the covers have changed, but it is what it is. This is the covers that we've got to deal with it. So this is following Nesta after ACOWAR, all that sort of thing, and I think it's her story of healing and trying to come to terms with what happened at the original trilogy. So I'm looking forward to this one. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I've heard that it's a lot smuttier than the other ones, so I'm excited to get to it. The next one is an author that I've been meaning to read multiple books by. I keep picking up his books and I keep putting them on my shelves, and I've only read one, and that was many years ago, and this is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. So this is Stephen King's sci-fi novel where we're following a man named Jake who has been given this mission of going back in time through this portal or time machine or whatever to stop the assassination of JFK. So I have read this one before. I actually do have a bookmark in it from when I tried to read it. So I got 260 pages in and I was enjoying it, but I just felt that it was very slow going. I did do this as a buddy read many years ago with Steph Loves. I'll link her channel down below, and we both just decided it wasn't the right time for us to be reading this, and it is a chunker of a book. So I'm excited to get back to this one and actually start reading more of Stephen King in the new year. Then we have another author that I've bought multiple books by and that I have been very intimidated by reading some of his books because he is well loved and he's got so many books, and that is Mr. Brandon Sanderson. So I want to try and read Elantris in 2024. So this is sort of his standalone story, but I know and I think there's going to be a sequel coming out very soon. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below, but this is a standalone story. And this is where a lot of people recommend that you kind of start with Brandon Sanderson because it's very easy to get into it because it's only one novel. And this is about a princess arrives ready to seal a political alliance with a wedding and until Theod and Arelon against religious imperialists. But Radion, her husband-to-be, is dead. Still determined to fight for Theod and Arelon's freedom, Sarene clashes with the High Priest Harathian, but secrets remain in Elantris. The dead and the ruined may yet have a role to play in this new world because magic still lives. So this is the perfect starting point, I think, for Brandon Sanderson. I've got Tressa the Emerald Sea up here as well, and I've got a couple of his other books on my shelves, but I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Then to carry on with trying to complete a series and things like that and really getting to books that I've been meaning to get to for a long time, I'm going to be picking up Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the next duology that's in the Grishaverse. So this is following Kaz Brekker, and he is on a mission to kidnap or retrieve a hostage whose knowledge could change Grisha magic forever. So this is part of the Grishaverse. It's nothing to do with the Shadow and Bone series. It's set in a different part of the world, and I know that everyone absolutely loves this one compared to Shadow and Bone. I really enjoyed Shadow and Bone, so I'm hoping that I love this just as much, and I'm really excited to get into this one because everyone absolutely adores this. Then I want to finish off a series because I'm terrible at finishing series, and I've been wanting to finish the series for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it, but I am going to need to reread book 1 and book 2. But the book that's going to be on my 2024 TBR is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. So this is the third book, the last book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and in this trilogy we're following Karoo. Let me actually... So this is the first one, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and then we have the second one, Days of Blood and Starlight. So I'm going to have to reread these before I get to Dreams of Gods and Monsters, but that is completely fine because I've read these before. But basically in this we are following Karoo, has managed to keep her 2 lives in balance. On the other hand, she's a 17-year-old art student in Prague. On the other hand, errand girl to a monstrous creature who's the closest thing she has to family. Raised half in our world, half in elsewhere, she's never understood Brimstone's dark work, buying teeth from hunters and murderers, not now nor how she came into his keeping. She is a secret even to herself, plagued by the sensation that she isn't whole. Now the doors to elsewhere are closing, and Karoo must choose between the safety of her human life and the dangers of a war-ravaged world that may hold the answers she has always sought. So I absolutely loved book 1 and book 2 when I read them many years ago. I think it was 2019, 2020, and then for some reason I never picked up the last book. So I'm going to be rereading those, and then I'm going to be getting to this one and taking it off my 2024 TBR. Hopefully. 2024 is going to be the year that I actually complete a TBR. Maybe. The next one is a book that I've had on my shelves for a long time. I've had this book so long that I actually traveled to New Zealand with this book, and I still haven't read it. I have tried to read it and I just wasn't jiving with it very well, so I did put it down and I haven't been able to pick it up since. It's just been one of those things that I've been avoiding. So this is 13 by Steve Kavanagh. As I said, I bought this back home in Ireland, and I actually brought it to New Zealand with me, and I still haven't read it. So I've owned it for like 6 or 7 years. This is one of the oldest books on my TBR. But basically this is about a murder that happens, and the serial killer has framed someone else for this murder, and while that person who's being framed is on trial, the serial killer gets himself on the jury and trying to get this person to go to prison for a crime that the serial killer committed. So it sounds interesting, it sounds something up my alley, but I haven't read it. I don't know why. Then we have my next book, which is The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. So I have heard a lot of great things about this from A Frolic Through Fiction. She absolutely loves this story and has recommended it to everyone that she can, and I bought it secondhand, and this cover is absolutely stunning. I'm in love with it. This is about a girl who gets chased through the forest in a warped version of a childhood game. The boys who hunt her are judges, powerful and frightening pursuers who know nothing of her true identity. If they knew she was an ogre, their sworn enemy, the game would turn deadly. Doesn't that sound amazing? It sounds dark, it sounds dark, and it sounds kind of fairy tale-esque, and I'm really excited to actually read this one. Then we have Departure by A.G. Riddle. This is one of the first books that I bought here in New Zealand when I started getting back into reading and when I found BookTube in 2019. So this is a sci-fi dystopian where we're following a plane crash, and when these people survive the plane crash, they realize that the place that they've landed, the world that they've landed in, is very different from the world that they left when they got onto their flight. So it's going to be interesting, where they're trying to figure out how to get back to the lives that they knew and trying to figure out what happened with the plane. Then we have Rules for Vanishing by Kate Ellis Marshall. I've heard a lot of things about this and this author. This is sort of a YA horror where we're following someone who's disappeared, and someone goes to find the ghost and is trapped on her road in the sleepy town of Briar Glen. Lucy's road is nothing more than local lore, but Sarah knows it's real and she's going to find it. When Sarah and her skeptical friends meet in the forest to search for Becca, the mysterious road unfurls, but before them. All they have to do is walk down it, but the path to Lucy is not of this world, and it has its own rules. Every mistake summons new horrors, vengeful spirits and broken angry creatures are waiting for them to slip, and no one is guaranteed safe passage. The only certainty is this: the road has a toll and it will be paid. So I tried to read this on audio, and I figured out very quickly that this is actually more of a interview style story. So, you know, it's being interviewed and there's like many documents and things like that. But I found that I couldn't concentrate and figure out what the hell was going on with it on audio. So I said that I'd pick it up physically, and then I never did. Welcome to my life and the story of my life. Then we have Lore by Alexander Bracken. I honestly don't know what this is about, but I know it's about Greek mythology. As you can see the picture of Medusa here. This is Hunt or Be Hunted. In a modern day New York, a murderous game is about to begin. The Aegon. Every 7 years for 1 week only, Zeus punishes the gods and makes them mortal. Forced to walk the earth, they are savagely hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines who are eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. That sounds so good. And then we've got a huge more chunk in the synopsis, but that sounds really good and I'm excited to read it. So I will be getting to this soon. Fingers crossed. Then we have The Wicked King by Holly Black. So this is the second book to the Cruel Prince series, or the Folk of the Air series. This is a series that is truly beloved across BookTube, across TikTok, Instagram, all that kind of thing. And I read The Cruel Prince many years ago, so again it's going to be one where I'm going to have to reread The Cruel Prince before I can get to this one. But basically we're following Jude and Cardan. Jude and Cardan are mortal enemies pretty much. It's an enemies to lover story. Jude was taken to Fairy World. She is a human and she is on a mission to prove her worth to the fairies, and she is kind of in a battle of will against Cardan, who is her sworn enemy. He is like the prince of this world, and he hates her because she's human, and she hates him because he's fae. That's all I know. I know it is absolutely beloved, so I do want to get to it. Then we have Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. So this is again the second book in a trilogy. The first one is Scythe, so I am going to hopefully get to this one. I do want to reread Scythe again so I know what I'm going into. But basically with Scythe we are following... what were their names? I can't remember. We're following two characters who are living in a world where death has been defeated. So immortality is basically guaranteed. And so to control population, we have these sites who are created and chosen to then glean people to keep the population under control. So Citra and Rowan. So we're following Citra and Rowan, and they are the apprentices to the scythe, and they are learning how to become a scythe and how to choose the people that they kill. And it's really interesting, and I really enjoyed Scythe, and I've heard that Thunderhead is the best one out of the trilogy. I gave Scythe 5 stars when I read it many years ago, so I'm hoping that Thunderhead is going to be even better. Then we have Graceling by Kristen Kishore. This is a old BookTube staple. I've heard so many people talk about this, but this is a series about a world where these people have graces, and that basically means that they have one thing that they are good at. And our main character of this book is good at killing people. So she is hired by the king to kill people, but she decides that she doesn't want to do that, and she is trying to uncover a plot of some sort. I don't really remember fully what it's about, but I'm intrigued. Then we have Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. So this is a romance novel where we're following the brother of the main character in The Things We Never Got Over. I read this year. Didn't think I was going to like it. Absolutely adored it, and I am obsessed with this book. I bought the physical because I loved it that much. I am definitely going to reread this and annotate it, but I don't actually need to reread and annotate this before I read this one, which is good. So we're following the brother of Knox in this one, and his love story with one of the characters that we meet in book 1 as well. So I'm excited for that one. Then we have Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is another one, YouTube staple. Everyone's talked about this. This is about a pandemic, but we're following kind of the aftermath of the pandemic, and people are just kind of figuring out what, like, living life after a pandemic. One snowy night in Toronto, famous actor Arthur Leandro dies on stage whilst performing the role of a lifetime. That same evening, a deadly virus touches down in North America. The world will never be the same again. 20 years later, Kirsten, an actress in the Travelling Symphony, performs Shakespeare in the settlements that have grown up since the collapse. But then her newly hopeful world is threatened. So it's interesting. It's a sort of pandemic book, and I've heard many, many great things about this author and this book. Then we have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Again, another one that everyone knows about this book, but actually doesn't know what this book is about. But all I know is it makes people sob. And I want to see if it makes me sob, because I don't really cry with books, so we shall see. But we're following a man named Jude, and we're just following his life and his journey with mental health issues. I think that's all I know. Then we have The Shining Girls by Lauren Beukes. This is one that I've heard not many things about, but from the people that I've heard from people speak about this book, they absolutely love it. So this is a sort of sci-fi thriller dystopian story, and we're following Kirby. Is lucky she survived the attack. She is sure there were other victims less fortunate, but the evidence she finds is impossible. And then Harper stalks the Shining Girls through the years and cuts the spark out of them. But what if the one that got away came back for him? So this is about a serial killer jumping through time. I think there's some time travel, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey sort of stuff that's happening in this book. And the final girl, kind of goes after him and tries to figure out how to stop him, even though he's traveling through time. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's all I know. Another one that is absolutely beloved by almost everyone that has read this book, and we have Bunny Maimona Awad. You've probably seen this cover in bright pink, but I have the bright orange version. That's the version that we got in New Zealand. But this is about a girl who comes captured in, we call them the bunnies because that's what they call each other, seriously, bunny. So this is sort of like a culty, witchy book where this girl gets kind of enwrapped in this version, like this group of girls who are really popular, and I don't know, it's supposed to be weird, it's supposed to be creepy, it's supposed to be fucked up, and I'm excited. So Samantha Heather McKay is an outsider in her small, highly selective MFA program at Warren University. In fact, she is utterly repelled by the rest of her fiction writing cohort, a clique of unbearable twee rich girls who call each other Bunny. But then the bunnies issue her with an invitation, and Samantha finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front door, across the threshold, and down the rabbit hole. Blending sharp satire with fairy tale horror, Bunny is a spellbinding trip of a novel from one of fiction's most original new voices. I've heard amazing things about this, and I'm really excited to get into it, but I'm kind of scared that I'm not going to understand what's going on. But I will give it a try this year. Then we have The Martian by Andy Weir. Again, this is truly beloved, and it's been made into a movie. But this is about a guy who is on Mars, and he's the only one who's on Mars, and he has to figure out how to survive because he might run out of food and starve to death. So that's all I know, and I'm excited to get to it. Then we have one that I've never heard anyone ever talk about, but it is The Tortures of the Damned by Hunter Shea. This is one that was like really cheap, that was being sold of like $5 at the time. And it's another pandemic dystopian sort of book. So first the electricity goes, plunging the East Coast in darkness after a devastating nuclear attack. Millions panic, millions die. They are the lucky ones. Next, the chemical weapons take effect, killing or contaminating everything alive except a handful of survivors in a bomb shelter. They are the damned. Then the real nightmare begins. Hordes of rats force two terrified families out of their shelter and into the savage streets of an apocalyptic wasteland. They are not alone. Vicious chemical-crazed animals hunt in packs. Roaming gangs of the sick and dying are barely recognizable as human. These are the times that try men's souls. These are the tortures that tear his family apart. This is hell on earth. The rules are simple: kill or die. Doesn't that sound great? Yes, it does. And I don't know why I haven't read it before. Or at all. Anyway, that's the next book. Then we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I've heard amazing things about this again. This is beautifully written by Erin Morgenstern. I read The Starless Sea from her many years ago, and it's very whimsical, very beautiful writing. And this is about a circus that turns up in the middle of the night, that no one knows where it's come from, no one knows about it, and it just turns up, and we're following these two main characters, and they are doing a magical battle to see who becomes the leader of the circus. I think that's it. I think that's it, because the back doesn't give me any synopsis. So all it says is the circus arrives without warning, no announcements preceded. It is simple. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. That's all I know. Then we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. So this is about a girl who is paid to paint a picture of the Prince of Fae, and she paints human emotion into his eyes, and that is a sin or against the law because Fae don't show emotions. So she is taken to go to Fae with this fairy, and I'm guessing they fall in love. I don't know. But yeah, I've heard great things about this one again, and I know Margaret Rogerson is a very beloved author, so I'm excited to get to this one. And the last one of my 2024 TBR is Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. Again, this is one that I've owned for a long time. It's only a duology. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, but I can't remember what it's about. So let me read the back and tell you what it's about. In a galaxy powered by the current, everyone has a gift. Kyra is the sister of a brutal tyrant who rules the Shotet people. Kyra's current gift gives her pain and power, something her brother exploits, using her to torture his enemies. But Kyra is much more than just a blade in her brother's hands. She is resilient, quick on her feet, and smarter than he knows. Akos is the son of a farmer and an oracle from the frozen nation planet of Tuve. Protected by his unusual current gift, Akos is generous in spirit, and his loyalty to his family is limitless. Once Akos and his brother are captured by Emily Shothead's soldiers, Akos is desperate to get his brother out alive, no matter what the cost. Then Akos is trusted into Kyra's world, and the enmity between their countries and families seems insurmountable. Will they help each other to survive, or will they just destroy one another? So that sounds good. And I think I'll be picking this up pretty soon because that has intrigued me very much so. And that is my 2024 TBR. Let me know if any of these books are on your 2024 TBR, if you have any of these on your shelf and haven't read them, or if you've read them and you really enjoyed them or hated them. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a big like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Bye.